And so the concerns that we're going to try and address for you today is health. It's always got to be our number one priority. That's why the progressive smile design works. We need to make sure we're improving health, not making it more detrimentally. She's concerned about temporary restorations, debonds that are going on where things are failing, and also the health around, the visible, the tangible health around failing restorations. And the goals were a more uniform smile, a natural outcome, which is always a blessing, this overly fake result that a lot of us as dentists really hate. We were lucky that she's not after these kind of things. And she wants a dentition that's primarily easier to maintain whilst looking nice. So for Nikki, what I did is I wanted to make sure that I could start to make sure things were in my hands as easily as possible. I just jump back once more. So we had some small alignment issues. The lateral, one's a crown, one has composite, so I know these teeth are going to be prepared for 360 restorations anyway. But if I can bring my central incisors forwards with some orthodontics, I can plan it out on my digital models. I can, in this case, go ahead and fit my removable appliance, and I can plan how I want to move the teeth into this position. But by doing this, by getting the teeth in the right place, first of all, it's going to allow me to improve my gingival aesthetics. It's going to allow me to be more conservative on my central incisors, and it's really setting up the case more ideally for Rob to then go and do his work. And where we had existing impressions, I just leave this slide because I still think the Optrogate is one of the coolest things that Ivoclar Vivadent make. It's just like giving you another third hand when you're taking impressions. But for Nikki, she had an existing implant, so I wanted to include this. Rob's going to talk about how he manages the implant in a minute, and this kind of sets that up for him. So I unscrewed her crown. Now, if it's a temporary crown that we've been doing some tissue training with, then we'll be doing the same with that. But fundamentally, we're embedding it in the putty with my analog just left in the putty. And that allows me then to customize that pickup abutment with a flowable composite, or you could use any material pretty much, as long as something sets, and we can then screw it back into the mouth, it's going to work. And then I can take my impressions. Now, just something else I use a lot in these big restorative cases. Ideally, we're going to temporize all the restorations first with lab-made temporaries, or maybe TelioCAD temporaries, so that we're tissue trained as much as possible. But I do think that Exposil is a great material as well for just getting it as an astringent and also as a retraction, either on its own or after cord. So I give the impressions to Rob, and I'm using virtual, and then that means he's ready to go ahead and to show us all how he can build these kind of cases.
I had the good fortune, it's quite some years ago now, near the birth of the IPS e.max system, to be present in a presentation, or to listen to a presentation given by Mr. Bob Ganley. And the message behind the presentation was that Ivoclar Vivadent has always been associated for high aesthetics, highly aesthetic materials that are capable of giving us the best results aesthetically. But it was true at the time, really, that the materials that we had and the reputation that we had as a company was that we weren't really associated with reliability. And I think really we can say without doubt now that is totally changed. The reliability of the products that we have, the facility for every technician to get stunning results is very easy, particularly in the monolithic situation. I only had 20 minutes or 25 minutes to talk, so I've just put 6 presentations into one slide for you here. So here you go. So for me, as a technician, what I've found over a number of years now, working with the IPS e.max system, is that it's the versatility, more than just the reliability, more than the aesthetics, which I can get with every case. I'm not afraid now. Whenever I get something in the lab, or I talk to a dentist and they want to do a case, I know that in some way, shape or form, I can adapt the material. I can adapt some part of this system to the need that I want to restore that tooth. This is an extracted tooth that you see here. This is This is an extracted tooth, and then an implant has been put in, and this is the work of very talented and innovative dentist Nigel Rosenbaum. And he sent me this enamel shell. He'd hollowed out the enamel shell and he said, "Rob, I want to put this back in the patient's mouth." So I've put an implant in here. This is a Nobel replace implant. He's hollowed out the enamel shell, and I said to him, "Nigel, actually, I think this single central tooth, I think I can match this anyway." He said, "No, I really want to put this back in." So I thought, okay, well, let's go for it. So what I've done here is taken the zirconium oxide abutment and trimmed this down, positioned the tooth in place. Now this is long before, this was between 4 and 5 years ago that we did this. And this was before implant solutions, the hybrid abutment and so on, but we were still already looking at this. And I know a lot of technicians with the IPS e.max system are using it outside of its recognized area with great success. So by cutting this down, what I do then is, this situation here, we've got a lot of bone loss here, so the root showing, and this is what Nigel wanted me to replicate in the ceramic. So I've positioned this inside the enamel shell. It's difficult to know where to press this from, really, so I just put a sprue from this and then press this. This is in LT A2. I did the staining and glazing, and then also etched the inner surface, so then this could be etched to the natural tooth. This is cemented. At this time, we didn't have multi-link implants, so I think I used Varilink 2 to cement this to the zirconium oxide abutment. It's not a normal situation, as you can see, but the end result is that I can mimic the root structure, and then with a natural tooth on top of this. And then these are the images on the model, and as we can see, courtesy of Nigel, so thank you, Nigel, for this. These are his images of the implant solution torqued in, and then we have the natural enamel shell on the surface of that. And I think this really signifies the position we're now in with the IPS e.max system. It's one of those cases that you can adapt. The adaptability of the system is quite remarkable. I spoke to Nigel last week, and just to check what the situation with this restoration was. As we can see here, there's a fracture. This happened 1 year after this was placed. So what Nigel did is then he re-cemented that fracture. And this is today. This is how it is. This is 4.5 years down the line, and it's still going. So it's one way. What a great partnership we have here. Nobel Biocare, Ivoclar Vident, and our creator. Probably in the wrong order, though, I should imagine. Okay, another case, implant solutions again. I come across these situations quite a lot. We've got a case here, we need to replace this lateral tooth. And there's some bone loss here. The dentist that actually did this did do put some bone in there, but basically it wasn't enough. So we have this situation where we've got the soft tissue level, which is too low. This is a Straumann narrow neck implant. So what I've done is prepared that surface, done a wax sleeve over the surface of this, and this is a standard procedure. I must say, probably 95% of the work that I do now, implant-based work, has a hybrid abutment, because it's just so easy, it's so available, and the end results are just so good. So wax this, sprue it, and press it. And this is in a high opacity material, and it's just a lithium disilicate sleeve over the surface. So what I've done then is color the neck of this. This is with the essence material, done the sprinkle technique, and fired this. What it allows me to do then is to build up the gingival ceramic on the surface around the neck, and then I fire this, and it gives me this repositioning of the soft tissue, artificially repositioning the soft tissue. Obviously, we prefer there just to be normal bone there, but in some situation, there's some situations that's just not possible. So this is another adaptation of the material, which really gives us a great end result, as you'll see in a moment. So I've done the wax up on the top of that, so I'm going to do a superficial crown on top of here. Wax up to full contour, trim this back, and then go through the layering technique as we're all used to. So this is a foundation firing, build up of ceramic, and it gives me this end result, which is a crown sitting on top of this hybrid abutment. And this is the work seated in the mouth. It's not the ideal result, but what we're always doing as technicians and clinicians, we're always really trying to adapt materials and techniques to overcome problems. We're never going to totally reproduce nature. But what we're trying to do is to get as close as that, and it's the patient's satisfaction. This patient was delighted with the result, and quite rightly so.